Alright, what you see here is a Banvil Envirofan Silverline industrial ceiling fan. Although technically it's really a heavy-duty commercial fan, but it can be used in industrial settings as well. As I've seen many of these installed in industrial applications, and they hold up pretty well in those situations. But a gold line obviously would be a better choice for that type of application. Now this is one of the 7 that I got back in November of 2020. This one I am not keeping. I painted this one brown. I'm giving this to my dad as a Father's Day present. So it's actually, I am filming this on Father's Day, so the next time I see him, I'm going to surprise him with this. Just because he has told me that he did want a fan in his barn to use like a workshop fan. And I remember him telling me he was just going to get some cheap $50 fan like at Home Depot or Lowe's, which honestly that would meet either the Farmington or the Harbor East Classic thing, which those would not survive in the barn. And they would not even move enough air to make it worthwhile. So I've been looking for an industrial fan or commercial fan of sorts to put in there because I figured that would be the best choice. And I was originally going to buy a Hampton Bay Industrial to put there, a black one. But then I came across the 7 silver lines, and I figured this would be a better choice. It's cheaper. I got them for 20 bucks each, and instead of me paying $120 or something like that, or $100-ish for a black Hampton Bay Industrial, when I can just paint one of these into a darker finish, I figured this would be the better option. Now, this fan was originally white, and I painted it to a dark walnut finish. That's the name of the finish on the Rust Oleum paint can. And I gotta say, this honestly looks spot on to the brown finish that Envirofan would use for their fans, even for the gold line. So, I mean, I've seen some videos of the brown ones or the silver lines, and this is, I don't have one next to it to like compare an actual brown one from factory, but this honestly looks identical to it from what I can tell. And if not, it's a pretty close comparison. Like, it's almost the same brown that you'd use for like the SMC fans or the Newtone Pro lines. Though I feel like it's more close to the Newtone Pro lines. It's a little bit darker though. And I gotta say, I am really happy with how this came out. I honestly want to keep it for myself at this point, but I can always paint one of the other ones like this too. One thing with this one is the sticker. As you can tell, it's not the original. That is just a paper thing I cut out, printed, and taped it on there. Try to make it look as accurate as the one it would have came with. So that one was more faded and doesn't reflect, but I figured just to make it look more original, might as well just do it. Now I do need to touch up some of this here because that was from the Gorilla Glue I was using the tape to glue it on originally, but then it started dripping, so I just taped it on here instead. Which I think I should have just done that to begin with, but it's not really that noticeable. And plus, it's going in a barn where my dad's not going to really care much about that, so yeah. Now here's the serial sticker for it, or the Banvil one. If it didn't say Banvil originally on this, I would have just called it an Envirofan Silverline, but this one's technically under the Banvil Envirofan name, which I'm not really sure what's the difference. I know it's the same company and all that, but I know, I think it was like some areas they would label them under the Banvil Envirofan. I know up in Canada, they are under the Banvil name, and down here is the Envirofan name. But yeah, I did try to get the one that has the Banvil Envirofan logo, but this is the closest I could find. So I figured I'd just switch it and make it like the Envirofan version instead. But yeah, this one wasn't really in the worst shape. There was some of the other ones are in worse shape than this one, but it came out pretty well. I do need to straighten out the blades a bit, which I forgot to do, but honestly, the fan view doesn't wobble at all, and that's really all that matters. And the blades are in a good enough pitch where they'll move a good amount of air and such. I mean, it's definitely not gonna. I'd rather do it somewhere where I can do it without making too much noise, which is like at my dad's place. Here, there's so many neighbors around. If I was hitting it with a hammer, I don't want to bother them. So, but yeah, let me go ahead and start off on the low speed. But yeah, there's a lot of places I can see these in at like amusement parks. I remember like at Cannonball Lake, I think it was, or no, Six Flags, they had brown ones in the bumper cars area. And then there was one can arm replacement. And in Quincy Market in downtown Boston area, or there's a few of these out in the outdoor patio area in a restaurant. Some of them, the blades on them are kind of getting a bit rusted. And I know I think like one or two of them have been replaced by like a can arm of some sort. But they definitely do hold up well for being used outdoors, I can say that much. Especially with the amount of salt they use to clean off that area in the wintertime when there's snow. They could definitely be in a lot worse shape. They're not as shiny like they used to be, but they definitely hold up well. And I figured this would be a good one for the barn because if it does rust and it's in a brown finish, you don't really notice it. Whereas if I got a Hampton Bay Industrial in black and it started to rust, it would definitely start to show. Though it'd be more so on the motor than the blades. At the same time, I do have more of a childhood vibe from this fan, seeing like a brown fan, like a wooden barn type install and such, or like brown can arms and such. I just feel like this will look more classy in there. I mean, the black one, handmade also would look nice too, but I feel like this is more of a classic look for the barn. I mean, I could have done a pro line too, but honestly, I'd rather keep the pro lines. I mean, this looks just like a pro line in all honesty, just a little bit different. It has the same look for the most part. And I was actually considering buying one of these new, but then I found these. Or not one of these ones new, but a bronze line or something similar to those new, but I'm glad I just found these instead. Has a good low speed to it. Now I could have like put an original in that barn for him, but I just don't feel like it's worth it because although the newer ones especially are labeled for outdoor use, it's just the blades I could see warping on it over time being in a uninsulated space. I mean, the barn it's not like one that it's a newer like horse barn, but my dad wants to use it more as like a workshop or like a storage space for if he wants to do projects and such. And original would be a good option for air movement, but it's just I feel like this would do a better job spreading the air around. I know originally he said he felt it wasn't worth putting an industrial fan, but I think it was just more so he's saying that because he knows that they can be a bit expensive, but since this fan I got for almost nothing, I figured it'd be a nice gift for him. There's a good low speed to it. It's not extremely slow, but it's not too fast either. One thing I definitely should have done after painting it was maybe oiled the bearings to it because I actually never tested it before painting it in terms of like hanging it up to see if it made any bearing noise. Just spun it by hand, so we'll see. I mean, at the same time, it's not like it's gonna be in the house area. It's just gonna be in the barn workshop and such. So I don't. If it does make any sort of bearing noise, I don't think it would make a big deal for my dad, or be a big deal, that is. For medium low. It doesn't seem to go all that much faster on the speed. I should just give it a little bit to speed up at least. Alright, yeah, it is speeding up just a tiny bit, but not by much. I am feeling a bit more air sound from it. But yeah, these fans I definitely feel are a good option for someone who just needs something to move the air around, but not need something that's gonna like be extremely powerful. Like they definitely do the job for commercial applications like laundromats, schools, if you have them there. I mean, even stores. I mean, not to say the gold lines aren't good. They definitely are a lot better, but if you just need something to kind of move the air around and also move a good breeze, these aren't bad, but the gold lines are definitely better. But I definitely say these will be a better option for the fact of the price point. Unless it's like for a natural like auto shop, something like that, definitely go for a gold line. I mean, these fans are known for having pretty good bearings and such. They don't really go bad like leading edge fans, for example. These are definitely a better option. Some of the ones that I had, the only reason why I feel like some of them have noisy bearings is because I feel like some of them got water damaged over time or some water got into them. As I know, some of them, their down rods looked a bit rusted in some of the areas. And the blades were rusted on them too, so that's the other reason why. Yeah, it's definitely cut up the speed a bit on this, on the medium low speed. Just took a little bit, that's all. I was thinking of painting two of them like this to give to my dad, but I really don't feel like he would need two of them or want two fans in there. I mean, it'll be a simple enough fan to put up. Just get a hook onto the ceiling, and that's it. I don't really need. It doesn't really need a box to hang it like I have here. That's just more so for the test purposes. I could do it like this there, but I'd rather not because I'd rather just do it like the way they're more intended to be installed with just a hook. Especially because the ceiling there is all wood, so I know it wouldn't be an issue. Moving a nice breeze on this speed. All right, now move it up to medium, or medium high. There we go. Wondering if one of the wire connections might be a tiny bit loose. But when I move it at the speed, it seems like it slowed down for a sec. Might be the connection or me like holding it in position when I'm trying to turn the knob with one hand. And the fact that the wall control is just dangling there. So that might be why it's on there. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna have if my dad would want it on a solid state control or 4-speed control. I think it's better if he puts it on a 4-speed control, but I know it can be used for a solid state one. The reason why I suggest a 4-speed one is just because it won't be it'll be more quiet, it won't be buzzing as much. But it is up to him at the end of the day. I mean, considering that the TPI Industrial, after testing it, I discovered it was actually a relabeled bronze line. I can definitely say that these are definitely a better performer. I mean, I know they are better performers, but just actually seeing the difference in the performance, it's definitely noticeable. I think it's just that the bronze lines weren't selling that well, and the silver lines were already more of their lower mid-tier fan, so they figured I think it makes sense why they discontinue it and just market this one as their more economical model. So they're having two. Might as well offer the one that's a better quality one, but still have it more of a economical fan from them. Though it is more commercial use, this fan anyway, it's not industrial use compared to the Goldwine. But it's definitely a fan that you can use in both applications. But yeah, I can see like this in amusement parks. I remember at Cannonball Lake when I filmed there back in like 2014. They had the 4-round can arms in that casino area, and just seeing this kind of reminds me of those fans there, and the brown can arms they have in some of the wooden shops, like the log cabin places and such they have there. Well, I am hearing some bearing noise now, actually. Nothing major, but it's definitely something. Just a little drop of oil should fix. But no, it definitely is pushing a good breeze. It's definitely not Goldwine on this speed, but it's not bad. Alright, now to move up to high. I can definitely say, without a question, this thing outperforms the TPI/Bronzewine fan out of the park. Like, it definitely outperforms that without a question. I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually from the 90s. So I'm not sure because it doesn't have an actual date code on it. The reason why I say that is because none of them had an actual UL sticker on them, whereas my Goldwine from 2004-2005 actually has the UL sticker with it as well. This could have been like old stock, but the person that I bought these from, the one that had two in his current space before he moved out of it, he told me that he bought them directly from the manufacturer, something like that, or I'm not too sure, but I mean, it wouldn't be surprising if they are older, but I know he told me he bought them back in like 2010, 2011. I'm not sure. Thing definitely flies on a high speed. It's moving a very good amount of air. It is making a little bit of blaring noise, but it's really not that noticeable that I really don't think it would be a big deal. But I definitely will drop a little bit of oil in it just to quiet it down. But yeah, these definitely are good fans for the church too. And I'm glad that they still offer this fan in a brown finish. I mean, I know they offer the black Goldwine still, but I definitely wish they still sold them in brown. But, you know, it comes down to more that if people are going to go for a brown fan for commercial use, they'll probably go for the cheaper one, being the Silverwine versus the Goldwine. Whereas industrial use, a lot of times people will want an all-white fan or a black one, or a brown too, but not as often. It's definitely moving a very good breeze underneath it. Let me shut it off and do spin down. And I have a good feeling this fan's gonna have a pretty long spin down to it. Like at least maybe 5 to 6 minutes. But I know these fans are known for having pretty good bearings to them. Now, I can definitely say this does not outperform a Pro line one from the 80s era and such. I mean, even the newer gold line Tesla I felt didn't outperform it in terms of the breeze underneath it. But still, it's pretty close to it, I'd say. But for a newer fan that's still being sold today, and from what I know, the newer ones perform a little bit better than these older silver lines from like the 90s up to the 2000s era. I've heard that they perform better. I haven't tested one up close like this, so I can't say if it's how much of a difference there is, but this one definitely performs well, and for what my dad would need it for, it will definitely do the job without a question. The other reason why I also felt this would be a better choice than a Hampton Bay Industrial is that I've noticed that some of the newer Hampton Bay Industrials from like 2019 and onwards, they don't go that fast on the high speed like the older ones do. And I feel like it's more so that they're trying to offer them more as like a residential industrial, kind of like what Fanimation did with the Ascension, where it's not really a pure industrial fan. It's more of like a residential type one or a commercial one. And because of that, they don't have to go as fast like they used to. I mean, at the same time, this fan is more heavy duty. Like the motor is definitely more. I know these fans are known for having better bearings over the years compared to the Hampton Bay Industrials. I'll just say that the Hampton Bay Industrial won't do a good job there. It's very rare to see these fans have issues. It's the main thing. Whereas Hampton Bay Industrial sometimes, I mean, you don't see those feeling that much either, but like bearing noises, like almost the three that I have, I mean, one of them's not that. The one from the barbershop's not really noisy, but the other two have some bearing noise to them, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think as of like right now, I think these go for about $136. Something like that, 150 ish. I'm not too sure. Or 145, I think they go for from the website. But I know if you get them from like Air Distributor, they're a little bit cheaper. I did have thoughts of hanging up one of these silver lines at the storage unit, but it's just I really would not want to hit the blades on these and get injured. Hampton Bay Industrial is a different story, but even then, I wouldn't want to hit those blades on it. Definitely has good bearings to it still, despite it being a tiny bit noisy. But I feel like that's just more so from whatever water might have got into it. Because all of them, the blades were somewhat rusted on them to a degree. Alright, it's come to a complete stop, and that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos to come.